are people actually taking the next step? Or, hey, we got to change the design. We got to make the call to action clearer. We got to, change some things, whatever. So, yeah, I think it's a lost opportunity for them. And they're in the business to sell me more of these postcards. So I don't understand why you wouldn't have said that, because...
So Dave, last time you and I connected, we talked about the postcard mailer that you had been working on. We made some suggestions. I still love my version where the guy sprawled out, grandpa fell in the sidewalk. I think that would do really well. But what's the update on that project for you?
Yes. So we sent the first run out. I had to ask the company, because I got one. They sent me, which is smart, right? The person who's paying for it, like send them, put them on the list, obviously. So I got one. I got a physical one here in the mail. This is exactly what we sent out to about 2,000 street addresses in 3 different specific zip codes in the Upper East Side of Manhattan. These are 3 arguably most wealthy zip codes, probably the top 5, 3 or 4 or 5 wealthiest zip codes in Manhattan. A lot of our ideal clients already live there. We're treating a bunch of folks there. We have over the years. So that targeted area makes pretty good sense for us. And that was the first run. And then the thing that I wanted to talk about today was that I sent to you and Jimmy the other day was an email from this company the company that I'm using to send this out, all I had to do was do the design, edit the design, approve the design. They designed it, but I gave feedback on it. Once I approved it, they did everything else. They found the list. I said, these zip codes, they found a list with names and addresses of people that they have updated lists where, ideally the person is still there or not passed away, that whole thing. So they shared with me the proofs, the final design, they actually sent me the list as well, like the spreadsheet of 2,000 street addresses. But the thing that's the first coolest thing that I don't think that the company even did a good job of explaining to me was on the backside here. So this is kind of the front, and this is the backside with this is my address, whatever. There's a QR code. There's a QR code right here on the top middle, and that QR code just simply goes to our main page of our website. In the future, maybe we'll do something specific, like a specific landing page just for the folks of the Upper East Side getting this exclusive offer and what it entails. But I was kind of just like, hey, we'll test as we go. We'll iterate as we go. Like, let's just get this up and running. I want to come back to that in terms of why, though. But the thing that really caught my attention was that I sent to you and Jimmy, got an email from the company that helped me put this whole thing together. And the email says, Dave, one of your recipients just scanned a QR code from your postcard campaign. Now is a great time to reach out to them and connect with them. And it says scanned by, and it's the person's first and last name. No, I'm not going to say it, but this is not a patient, because right now it's a stranger, a potential patient, prospective patient. But it says the woman's first and last name. It says the full address, including the apartment number. And then it says landing page, www.conciergepainrelief.com, which again is the main homepage of our website. I was really surprised and delighted by this. And I'm like, why didn't the company even tell me that? Why wouldn't you say, hey, also, now think about this, Tony. I think you immediately understand it, but that means every single QR code is unique to every, 2,000 different QR codes for each person on the mailing list, because when it's scanned, it says a specific person's name, right? It has to be a different QR code technologically, however they do it, like a snowflake. So that's super cool, right? Like, how else would they know? Or address? I don't know how else would the system know it was that particular person of the 2,000?
Did you scan the code yourself? I would think the code takes you to a landing page. That person opted in on the landing page, and that's where they got all that information.
No, the email that I sent to you and Jimmy says one of your recipients just scanned a QR code from your postcard campaign.
Yeah.
It does not have their email. It does not have their phone number. It says that now is a great time to reach out to them and connect with them, which would be what? I got to send...
Let me ask you real quick. Do you pay per person who scans in any way? Like, is there an extra fee for that?
they didn't present that. No, it was just up front.
And so when you scan it, where does it take you?
It takes me right to the web page, the homepage of our website on my phone.
Okay.
Which is what I approved, which is what I said, this is where we're going to send it. This company also does landing pages, and I'm just like trying to get up and running so fast. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to design a landing page. That's another thing. It's more decisions. It's more time to waste. I'm going to kind of tinker with it for too long. I'm like, just send them to my website, the main page of my website. Let's get traffic there. Whatever. Like, let's just go. Knowing that I was kind of happy with the original design, but like, I think the font needs to be changed. Some older eyes might have some issues with the font. I was trying to use some of like that luxury premium type font, but I think the letters need to be wider. I'm going to shrink the headshot so we have more some more like dead space and it doesn't look so busy. I got some from one of your Facebook groups. I got some feedback from some folks. Gotta love when some folks are like, it's too busy. And it's like, I've never even heard of you, bro. Like, what are you marketing? I've never even heard of your practice, but I respectfully, in your group, I will respectfully take the high road. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It got to be iterated and changed, and we got to update the design. But that's how I operate, which is like, let's just ship it. Let's just get this out. We're going to change it over time. We're going to learn a bunch, and it's only going to get better. And I knew this up front, knowing that I'm going to spend thousands on this, because the another thing I want to talk about next, but knowing that this was not going to be the only run. I did 2,000 street addresses. It was like $1,700. I'm like, less than $1 per person. I can get this in front of a decision maker, or the spouse of the decision maker, or the home. Some of these people have home assistants that work out of their homes, and they have an executive assistant, or the home health aide or nurse or whatever. But I'm like, I could get this to the people who are not going to find me on Google or Facebook, right? And so the next thing, or later we should talk about, or another time, as I was getting ready for this, and sometimes I think of these like existential things, like what happens if I wake up and we don't have our Google business page anymore? Like it's got 64 reviews. I had one before that had like 101 reviews that got taken down, just like for no reason at all. Yeah. So what happens if people tomorrow cannot find me on Google or Facebook or Instagram because I have no control over those platforms? Anyone watching or listening, if you have a practice, what if your top referring physician or group of physicians went bankrupt? They were they just closed down, or they open up PT in their own office. What if you woke up as a practice owner and you no longer had Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever is your main channel for referrals? What if your main staff therapist left you tomorrow and you now have to scramble, right? So I always think of that type of stuff, and I'm like, that's why I'm doing LinkedIn with candidates. And I even tested LinkedIn of messaging lawyers for being prospective patients. I'm probably the only one that uses LinkedIn to try to get patients, right? Probably one of the only ones in the country to do that. Because I want to diversify. Right. And then I want to, people that follow us on Instagram, then we DM them to, are you here for the content? Are you here for potential rehab? And then this is another example, which is like, how can we just go completely old school? How can we go, analog, no tech? And if we get one or two patients from this, I mean, if we get one patient, it's going to break even. And the thing that Michael Derry commented in your group, I think it was Michael Derry, maybe it was somebody else, but I thought it was, was it Charles? Somebody in your group said they did the doorknob hanger. Charles. And then some older woman put it in her drawer for 6 months or something. And then her or her husband needed it. She pulls it out. She gives him a ring. Boom. Right. So what he did, and what I'm thinking of doing, which is like, I'm planting seeds for the future. This is going to go in this person's cabinet. This is going to go in this person's, back, laundry room, pinned up on the, bulletin board. And this is going to turn into fruit later, 6 months down the road, 12 months down the road. So we're just planting seeds. I mean, why not? Why not try a different way? I know Google ads work, but I got to pay, right? And I know that there are ways that work. So anyway, I'm throwing a lot at you. You could tell that I'm excited about this, but I'm only excited because of the scan. Haven't gotten any patients yet. We're still at a loss, but that's marketing. That's business.
Right. what you were getting at before, though, the company didn't tell you, hey, we're going to make a unique QR code for every person to identify them when they scan it. That's a huge value proposition that the company you became a customer for didn't even tell you about, you know? And so we're doing that in the clinic all the time, like something that we're probably taking for granted, literally something as silly as, hey, we're going to put an ice pack on you at the end of therapy. We all poo-poo it, but that might be the patient's favorite thing. Like I've seen plenty of patients in Facebook groups say, I love the ice pack at the end. So we got to identify, like, you as a customer of that company valued that. You didn't even know it. That could have been layered on that would have potentially converted somebody else to being like, yeah, I want that campaign. That's awesome. I want to do it.
And in fact, when I first reached out to this company, I spoke with a representative named Michaela. Michaela's like, well, you know, most people, well, I'm not most people, but most people, most business owners that start with us, you know, are you thinking like 500 street addresses? Do you remember the number that I said to you guys? I don't know if I told you.
I don't remember the number, but I remember it was very low relative to what you wanted to do.
Yeah. So she was like, yeah, are you thinking like, you know, 500? A lot of business owners start at 500. And I'm like, how much is it? You know, how much is it if it's more, whatever. And obviously, like the more addresses, the more that you buy, like the cheaper it's going to be, like per postcard, right? So I said 2,000. Like, let's get going here. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously I'm a little more aggressive and I have more discretionary income to test with marketing and all that. If she had said there's going to be a unique QR code for every single person, and we will email you, the system, the technology will email you automatically when somebody just scans your QR code with the person's first, last name, their full street address, including apartment number, so that if you wanted to, you could then follow up with a manual card or whatever, which would be on my end. If she had said that, who knows, Tony? I would have said 5K. I might have said 10K. I might have said, let's pour some gasoline on this. Because with the automated emails with a scan code, with a scan QR code, that is helping with attribution. That is helping me identify, is this actually working? Are people actually taking the next step? Or, hey, we got to change the design. We got to make the call to action clearer. We got to, change some things, whatever. So, yeah, I think it's a lost opportunity for them. And they're in the business to sell me more of these postcards. So I don't understand why you wouldn't have said that, because when these 2,000 go out, other than the one that I got, I don't really know. I don't really know if they went to every single street address. I'm assuming, because it's like a reputable company. I've been on their email list for like a year or two, and then I finally took action and took them up on their offer. So definitely a lost opportunity. And I love how you connected it to physical therapy treatment. We do things that the patient or client either loves and is a delightful component, or they yearn for, or it benefits them, but we think it's like no big deal. Hot pack in the beginning, cold pack, ice pack at the end, whatever it might be.
I keep thinking about how they're doing that. And I guess in reality, you get, let's say you order 2,000, they mass produce 2,000 of the postcards with a blank square there and a blank square on the address box. And then really they're printing unique addresses on every one. So to print a unique QR code that goes with that address, it's not that difficult. But yeah, I could certainly see the value in it. So very cool. This is a project that you got to keep us informed. You guys had a conversation about the doorknob hangers, I think, in that Facebook group. Have you done that before?
So Jimmy and I months ago had a conversation on this show. I think you were away, or you weren't on the show. You were not on that episode. I looked it up. It's illegal in New York City. Otherwise, your boy, I would have been doing this for 8 years. I've been in so many buildings, and especially like medium to like extremely expensive buildings where it's probably, would be kind of like, it could be in bad taste, but like, yeah, I have been in so many buildings that I'm sure I would have done it at some point. But yeah, like Charles Lockwood said that he had done it, and it doesn't always work right away, but it can work. And
Right.
I just wish it was not illegal in New York City. And also, by the way, the doormen never help us. Did we ever talk about this?
No.
Really quick. Not every building has a doorman, but some do. Some have multiple doormen. I've built significant rapport with doormen. Like, first name, last name, what the favorite thing that they eat, what's their shift that they work, where do they live, their family. I mean, it's insane. Like some of these long-term clients that we've had where then you're talking to the doorman in and out and all that type of stuff. I've asked them, I've slipped them money. I mean,
yeah,
don't put this on the internet. I just, I try to grease them a little bit just to test. $10 here, $20 there. And literally they have never referred a patient. One time I was in the lobby during COVID I was going to go up to this client and I'm talking to the doorman, John, at the little desk thing. And then in comes another resident with his wife. The guy just had a knee surgery and he's coming in on crutches. And I'm like, I'm going to just not say anything. And, the doorman says, hello, so-and-so. And, he just had knee surgery, whatever. And he gets in the elevator and goes up. And I go, John, I don't want to be out of line here, but that I've been treating this guy for 2-3 years upstairs. So obviously I'm somewhat legit. And maybe you don't know that I do that, but we do physical therapy for post-surgical. I've given them business cards at so many buildings. They've literally never done it. And I pulled one guy aside. I pulled one doorman aside on the Upper West Side. This was several years ago. And I said, hey, I gotta ask you, not so much here, but like I've been in so many buildings and you guys are it's kind of the similar job. You're in the same union. All these doormen are in the same union or whatever. So it's kind of like the same job at every place. I go, I've noticed something that I've given business cards for years to doormen. I've literally gotten 0 phone calls, zero opt-ins on my website from someone who would say, oh, I got your card from John, the doorman at this address or whatever. I said, why do you think that is? And he goes, well, you know what? He goes, for the type of people that are in this building, I don't think they would trust our recommendations unless they're asking for it. Now,
right.
And the example was, he said, if someone ordered a pizza that smelled really great, smelled like fresh garlic or basil or whatever, and a resident is walking out of the building and they smell that and they're like, oh, where did that pizza come from?
Yeah.
And he'll be like, oh, it's from Tony's Pizza, whatever, oh, do you have a menu? Whatever. And he said, sometimes the residents will ask like, oh, I saw Mary in the gym and she was with a personal trainer. Do you know that person? Do you know that trainer? Or they're like, can I get in touch with them? And that type of thing. And he said that he would do that, but it's only when the person's asking for it. And so I guess, I don't know if it's a New York thing or people who live in a building thing. I don't know what it is, but
yeah,
I guess people are not asking their doorman for the referral or a connection to a in-home physical therapist because people will either get it from their physician, a warm referral, warm word of mouth from a neighbor, a friend, someone who's trusted, a colleague at work, whatever, or their own search, right? Like on Google or Instagram or whatever. So it's been a conundrum for me. It's been a little bit of an annoyance because I've built so much rapport with these doormen, just naturally, not even trying to juice referrals. But I found that it has literally been a big goose egg. Any thoughts or feedback or insight why?
I mean, I can totally see it. There are so many people in my life and my circle that I'm like, why are you not telling everybody, even people that have amazing outcomes themselves? And I'm like, why are you not telling more people about us? And this was a challenge for first 10, 15 years of practice. I just think it's a combination of like, it's not in the front of the mind for the person. I think they assume we're busy enough anyway. It's just not something they're actively pursuing. Like you said, I could see in the role of a doorman or, somebody else as a service guy or girl. They don't want to feel like they're pushing or selling. Like we have therapists who don't want to feel like they're pushing or selling, even though they know they have a solution that can help. So I do think the cards are stacked against that kind of word of mouth. But what you find, and I know you've seen this, you get one in 100, 1 in 1,000, one person that like raves about you to the point where they drive 20, 30 people your way. So you can't stop. You keep pushing, you keep sharing cards, you keep telling them, hey, you know, if you guys have a resident or someone here, like this is what we do. And because it just takes that one, I tell you, there's probably 2 or 3 in my business right now that have driven tens of thousands of dollars in referrals my way, just because they love telling everybody about my service, about the restaurant they went to, about whatever. They're just big talkers and they love sharing it. But that's 2 or 3 out of probably 1,000 in a year that don't even open their mouth. We have spouses, like literally a husband will go across the street to NovaCare, even though he's not happy there. And the wife will be in our clinic and the wife's like, yeah, my husband doesn't want to keep going to therapy. I'm like, why don't you tell him to come here? And she's like, I'm not going to talk to him about it. Let him make his own decisions. It's so weird.
That's probably worse than me not getting referrals from Doormen. Like that does not make any sense at all, unless it's like the couple, the spouses want to do things like that separately. Like they don't want to, right. They don't want to commingle their physical therapy at the same place for whatever reason.
I could see there being an element of that for sure. We have a couple couples right now that I'm like, hey, you guys don't have to come together. You can drop him off, go do your stuff, and then you can come another time. But anyway, we have about 5 more minutes. You had another topic that you wanted to talk about.
I sent you guys over there was a post about Gap and how their collaborations have absolutely reignited their profits. The retail store Gap, similar to like Old Navy and Abercrombie and all those stores. So Gap, not that long ago, was losing like hundreds of millions of dollars. They had hundreds of millions of dollars in financial losses. And a new CEO came in and started this collaboration playbook with collaborations with different influencers to target different groups of consumers, different niches. Each collaboration would be going after different genres of people or, you know, resonate with different groups of people. And last year, the year before, recently, Gap now has like $1 billion in profit. So if you go from losing like 200 grand a year, like net income minus 200 grand, 200 million a year, I'm sorry, not 200, minus $200 million to swing the opposite way to now being $1 billion in profits, which is a change of 1.2 billion, is insane, like unbelievable. And so I'm like, okay, if it works on a grand scale like that with a company that has been around for decades and decades, everyone knows the brand, but then they had issues with branding, positioning, marketing, you know, keeping up with different offers, different consumers, changing consumer, you know, demand and all that type of stuff. And also competition, of course, with Ralph Lauren and, I don't know, Brooks Brothers or any other, you know, Gap, Old Navy, or I don't even know because I don't go to malls anymore. But like any of those stores, there's so much competition with the brick and mortars and the retailers. There's so much competition with selling clothes online. And this new CEO just put in this playbook, and I'm like, how can I use this? How can practice owners use this? Now, of course, we're not going to be able to get the collaborators like who they've used, which are people that or bands or different influencers of, you know, mega reach. But how can we use this on a local, you know, service-based level? Like how could we do this? And also, is it pay to play? Like, you got to pay for this, or do these influencers and bands and other folks, do they get like, you know, Gap is going to put a bunch of money behind different articles or ads and stuff, and then they get that exposure for free. So then maybe Gap does not have to pay them so much. Like, well, I don't know what you've seen or heard with different collaborations like this, but it's like, how could we use this for local politicians, local lawyers, local business owners, local celebrities, local, I don't know, local coaches who coach high school or AAU or do basketball camps, or, you know, local or regional types of people that like they're looking to get more notoriety and exposure and more customers and clients. How can a physical therapy practice use this? Or maybe you can't. I don't know.
No, I think you totally can. I think it's one of those deals where, you know, I had heard about, and I don't remember the combinations, but it was Eddie Bauer and LL Bean that had done collaborations with car companies. One of them did something with Ford. One of them, I think, did something with Subaru or something.
I used to drive a Ford Explorer.
Yeah.
That was Eddie Bauer. This was a passed down vehicle. Thank you to my family. But I had an Eddie Bauer edition Ford Explorer, and I felt pretty damn cool, Tony. I thought it was like tricked out, man. I had Eddie Bauer like on the seats of the Ford Explorer, and it was like a champagne interior. Outside was dark blue, I think. That was a whip. That was a high school whip. That was a nice big high school whip.
So, like, that's not a collaboration that I would think of right out of the gate, but obviously it worked for them. So, yeah, on a local level, you look at what's the culture of my clientele? What are the other businesses around here that have the culture that is similar? But I think where we fall short is usually in the situation where most of the clinicians, most of the providers, the small business owners, they're so busy treating patients. They're so busy in the business. They never get a chance to step back and look at the big picture. And so it's like, okay, there's a popular local sports team, and I want to do a collaboration with them. What do you have to offer? If you don't have a big social media audience, if you don't have a big facility, if you don't have, money to dump into tons of marketing, like, what are you bringing to the table? You're the person that nobody wants to be with because you're just a parasite on that other business. So what I've seen now, not necessarily local, but like Bob and Brad, they have the YouTube channel. They're over 10 million subscribers. They would have these little signs in the background from a mattress company or other little brands that I had never heard of. And that was their way to build these collaborations. But again, they had millions and millions of subscribers already at that point. So I do think there are definite opportunities out there, but you have to be bringing the value to that other company if you're going to be a collab. I don't get them anymore, but I used to get all these like brand new YouTube channels, no subscribers, no followers, no value. And they're like, hey, we want to do a collab. I'm like, why would I bother? Why would I do something like that? And the same for me. I can't take 85,000 subscribers and go to a channel with 10 million. Be like, hey, let's do a collaboration, because it's obviously too one-sided. So it can definitely be done. My guess is it would be more likely done between friends. You have a local shop. I have a physical therapy clinic. We've been buddies for a long time. Hey, let's get together and do a collaboration, promote across both audiences. And we're doing it because we're friends. We're not necessarily doing it because it's going to be big money.
I love it. I just pulled up on the Google box the Eddie Bauer collab on Ford vehicles, and I also put in my query, who paid what for, like who paid who, or who paid what for that, right? So it says the collaboration between Ford and Eddie Bauer was a long-running licensing partnership from 1984 to 2010, designed to create a premium outdoorsy image for Ford's SUVs and trucks. It was a mutually beneficial marketing alliance rather than a simple one-way payment, with both companies sharing costs and benefits to leverage their respective reputations for luxury and ruggedness. I love that. Because now I'm curious. I want to dig into it later. We don't have time right now, but I'd be curious to dig into it later and find out, like, did Ford go after Eddie Bauer? Or did Eddie Bauer go after Ford? Like, that's going to be something that I'm just a nerd. Like, I'm curious about that. But it's like every time I got into that car, or the first couple times I got into it, I was being exposed to the Eddie Bauer brand and the logo and the kind of like that script logo that they have without like, and I'm that's getting seeded somewhere in my mind. And, that influences maybe my future buying decisions. And I purchased an Eddie Bauer fleece instead of a a Polo one or whatever. So super fascinating how these types of things can also be mutually beneficial, and it's not necessarily one side paying for the other. I love that.
All right. I want to put two teasers out there. Have you been following this story about Allbirds? Have you ever heard of Allbirds?
I have heard of Allbirds. I've seen some older clients in the city back when I was doing home visits get their shoes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And then overnight, you want to tease it? What they did? What crazy announcement they announced?
This was a failing shoe company that overnight said, we're going to be an AI company. The stock jumped like 600%. I mean, it was basically a pink list, whatever stock, like nobody cared about it. They had 39 million, I think, in value. And now all of a sudden they jumped just because they said, hey, we're going to be an AI company. I think we're going to see a lot more of these stories. And then the other one that I had been doing quite a lot of research on is looking at Hinge Health versus U.S. physical therapy. And in my mind, and kind of the way I groomed the chat was I said, look, U.S. physical therapy owns brick and mortar clinics. They hire human physical therapists. They deliver a very, standard of care, insurance based. How does that compare to Hinge Health, which is more of a tech company delivering basically the same services in a different way? It was ridiculous. Like Hinge margins are 80%. US physical therapy margins are like 15 or 20%. All this CapEx, all this extra cost, all of this, money going really to nothing that US physical therapy is carrying as this legacy company of the old world. Whereas somebody like Hinge comes on the scene and overnight, overtakes a company that's been around for 20 plus years. So I got some numbers. I got some interesting scenarios on that. We'll talk about that next week. Are you guys doing anything fun this weekend? You, little Dave, your wife?
I have a baseball game. We have a couple classes for the baby. So yeah, we'll be doing that. And a quick announcement, because I use ChatGPT and Gemini to write social media posts for Concierge Pain Relief, Concierge Pain Relief is now an AI company.
Yeah. I see the ticker. Your value is going up as we speak.
Hey, it's Dave Kittle. Are you a healthcare business owner or physical therapy practice owner who is looking to figure out your succession plan or exit strategy? We might be able to help. And in fact, we may be interested in acquiring your practice. If you're interested, you can reach out to me. Shoot me an email at dave@conciergepainrelief.com. That's DAVE at CONCIERGE painrelief.com. Or you can call me at any time, 646-781-8884.